Forgotten faces, the stars were silent. But the human commander could not sleep. His ship drifted across the edge of known space, patrolling an empty sector where nothing ever happened. The crew was tired, the engines hummed, and the endless dark stretched forever. It should have been another quiet night. Then the message came dotted first. It was only static, a broken whisper through the comms. The commander leaned closer, frowning, trying to catch the sound. And then he heard it. A voice. A strange, rough voice that should not have known his name. "Do you still remember the orphanage, human?" The commander froze. His blood ran cold. The crew around him looked confused. They whispered among themselves, asking what it meant. But the commander did not answer them. He was staring at the console, at the faint voice that spoke again, clearer this time. "I never forgot you." The words cut deep. His heart pounded. How? Could an alien, because the voice was not human, know about the orphanage? About his childhood? About a life he had buried long ago? The commander forced his voice to stay calm. "Identify yourself?" But the comms only gave broken static, and then silence. The room felt colder than space itself. That night, the commander walked alone through the ship's corridors. His mind would not rest. He tried to push away the voice, but it clung to him. Orphanage memories came back like ghosts. The sound of children crying in dark halls, the taste of stale bread, the feeling of hunger that never left. He remembered fights for scraps of food, the punishments when they disobeyed, the endless nights when no one came to comfort them. He remembered being small, weak, and angry at the world. And then he remembered something else. A boy. No, not quite a boy. Someone different. Thin arms, quiet eyes. A fragile figure who always sat in the corner, apart from the rest. The other children bullied him, whispered that he was strange. He never fought back, but the commander back then, just another lonely orphan, once shared his bread with him. Just once. It was a small act, almost forgotten. Could it be? The commander shook his head. It was impossible. That had been decades. Go, and yet the voice on the comms. It felt real. The next day, the crew detected a signal. It was faint, weak, coming from the far edge of the sector. A distress beacon. The commander's chest tightened when he saw the frequency. It matched the strange voice. His officers warned him. It could be a trap. Pirates, maybe. Or worse, aliens. But something inside him refused to ignore it. "Seta." "Course," he ordered. The crew hesitated, but his voice left no room for argument. The ship moved through the void, following the beacon. Hours passed until at last they saw it. A wreck. A broken alien vessel, torn and scarred, drifting in the dark. Its lights flickered weakly. Its hull was burned black, as if it had survived a great battle. The distress beacon pulsed again, calling, out like a heartbeat. The commander stared at it. His jaw tightened. He could almost feel that strange voice waiting inside. He ordered a shuttle prepared. Inside the wreck. The air was thin and heavy with smoke. Shadows crawled across ruined walls. Sparks spat from broken panels. The silence was crushing. And then he saw it, a figure lying against the wall, tall, thin, covered in scars. Its skin was pale with a faint shimmer, its eyes closed. Alien, yes, but something about it felt familiar. The commander stepped closer, weapon raised. His heart thundered. The alien stirred. Its eyes opened, glowing faintly in the dark. When it saw him, it did not reach for a weapon. It did not attack. Instead, it whispered his name. The sound was weak, but it was the same voice from the comms. "You came." The commander's hand trembled on his weapon. "Who are you?" he demanded. The alien's lips curved in something close to a smile. "You don't remember, do you?" The commander's eyes narrowed. Remember what? The alien's voice was soft, almost broken. The orphanage. You gave me bread when no one else would. The words hit like a blade. The commander's chest tightened. He saw it now. The quiet child in the corner, always alone. The one me. Others bullied. The one who was different. His mouth went dry. It's not possible, he whispered. But the alien's eyes shone with something deep, something painful. I never forgot you, human. Not once. Not through war. Not through pain. Not through the years. You were the only light in that place. The commander's breath caught in his throat. The alien leaned forward, weak but desperate. And now I need you again. The commander stood, frozen, his heart and mind torn apart. A past he thought was dead had returned in the strangest, most impossible way. An alien from his childhood. An orphan, just like him. But why now? Why here? And why did he feel a storm was coming? The commander's voice was low, uncertain. What do you want from me? The alien's answer was a whisper of dread. Survival. For you. For both of us. They are coming. The commander's blood turned cold. Who is coming? He asked. The alien's eyes flickered with fear. My people. The alien's voice. The commander stared at the alien, unable to breathe. The words echoed inside his head again and again. They are coming. My people? His people? The alien was too weak to stand, his body shaking with every breath. Scars covered his chest, and one arm hung useless at his side. Yet his eyes burned with urgency. You must listen, the alien said. His voice cracked as if every word was pain. They will find you. They will destroy everything. I came to warn you. The commander's grip tightened on his weapon. He wanted to believe it was a trick, but something deep inside told him otherwise. This alien, this stranger, knew things no one else could know. He knew about the orphanage. He knew about the bread. He knew about a boy long ago who had shared a small kindness in a cruel place. The commander lowered his weapon slightly, but suspicion stayed in his eyes. Why me? Why warn me? The alien's face softened. Because I remember you. When the world was dark, you gave me light, and I swore I would never forget. His voice shook with emotion. I survived because of that one moment. Because of you. The commander swallowed hard. The room felt colder. He wanted to push the memory away, but the image came back clearly. Now the frail child in the corner, shivering in the dark halls of the orphanage. He remembered, and the truth frightened him more than the silence of space. Who are you really? The commander asked. The alien's eyes dimmed with old sorrow. I was taken from the orphanage, taken by my people. They erased me, trained me, turned me into a weapon. I became a soldier in a war one did not choose. He coughed, his body trembling, but continued. I killed. I obeyed. I forgot who I was. But one thing, one memory stayed with me. The day you shared your bread. The commander stared at him, unable to speak. The alien's voice turned sharp, urgent. Now my people hunt me. They call me a traitor. They will come for me and for you, because I came to you. A commander's crew shifted uneasily behind. Him. Fear flickered in their eyes. An alien on board was danger enough, but an alien hunted by his own kind? That was a death sentence. One officer stepped forward. Commander, we should leave him here. He's a threat. The alien's gaze fell, but he did not argue. If you leave me, I will die, but so will you. They will come. They will kill you all. My presence has already marked you. Silence filled the broken chamber. The commander felt the weight of his crew's eyes on him. Trust this alien or abandon him? The commander knelt slowly, meeting the alien's glowing eyes. You expect me to trust you after all these years? After you vanished? After you became one of them? The alien's voice cracked, but he did not look away. Not trust. Remember. Remember the orphanage. Remember what we were. You were this only one who saw me as more than a shadow. You were the only one who didn't hate me. He leaned closer, whispering with raw desperation. I am not asking as an alien. I am asking as the boy you once saved. The commander's chest tightened. For a moment, he saw not the scarred warrior before him, but the small, fragile child from the past. He whispered almost to himself, I did forget you. The alien closed his eyes. I know, but I never forgot you. Back on the ship, the alien was brought into the med bay. Doctors worked quickly, patching wounds and stabilizing his breathing. The crew muttered among themselves, watching through the glass. Their fear-growing dot, the commander stood apart, staring at the stars. A voice from behind startled him. It was the alien again, weak but awake. You still don't trust me. The commander did not turn. Trust is not so easy. The alien gave a faint smile. It never was. His eyes grew dark. But you must prepare. They will come soon. And when they do, they will show no mercy. The commander finally turned, his jaw tight. Why help us? Why betray your own people? The alien's reply was quiet, heavy with truth. Because I never belonged to them. I never belonged to anyone except you. The words struck like a blade and a bond at once. The commander felt something stir inside him, something he thought was long dead. The memory of a promise, unspoken but real, made in the dark halls of the orphanage, that they would not abandon each other. He clenched his fists. Suddenly, alarms screamed through the ship. The crew shouted warnings. Sensors detected movement. A fleet was approaching fast. The alien's voice broke the chaos, sharp and certain. They found me. The commander stared at the screens, at the dark shapes closing in. His choice was gone. The past he had forgotten was now his only chance for survival. Broken. Bonds the alarms echoed like thunder through the ship. Red lights flashed across the walls as the crew rushed to their stations. The commander stood tall on the bridge, his eyes locked on the screens. A fleet was closing in. Dark ships shaped like knives cut through space, silent and deadly. The alien, still weak, still scarred, struggled to his feet. He leaned against the console, his glowing eyes fixed on the enemy. They came faster than I thought, he whispered. My people waste no time. The crew looked at him with fear. To them, he was the reason death had found them. Some reached for their weapons, ready to throw him out the airlock, but the commander raised his hand. Stand down. His voice was firm, cold. He stays? The crew hesitated, their eyes full of doubt. But no one disobeyed. The alien watched the screen, his expression dark. You do not understand. They will not just destroy this ship. They will hunt you. Hunt every human who dares protect me. The commander's jaw tightened. Then tell me how to stop them. The alien closed his eyes for a long minute. When he spoke, his voice carried both shame and pain. I was trained to kill, to know their tactics, to be their weapon. If I show you what I know, maybe you will survive. The bridge went. Silent Dot, the commander, studied him. Why betray them? After everything? Why not let them take you back? The alien's face hardened. Because they broke me. They stole me from the orphanage. They erased my name. They made me into a monster. His voice dropped, sharp as a blade. But I was never theirs. Not truly. Not after you. The commander felt the weight of the words. They were not just soldiers facing each other across enemy lines. They were children of the same pain, broken in different ways. And now, survival bound them together again. The first enemy shot struck. The ship shook violently, sparks flying from the panels. Crew members shouted, alarms screamed, and the stars outside lit with fire. Shields failing. One officer cried. The commander slammed his hand on the console. Return fire. Beams of light tore across the darkness, striking one of the enemy ships. But the fleet was too many. Too fast. Too powerful. The alien stepped forward, his voice calm despite the chaos. You are fighting wrong. They will circle you, trap you, and crush you, unless you follow me. The crew turned, anger flaring. Why should we listen to him? One officer snapped. He brought them here. The alien's glowing eyes met. Theirs. Because I know how they think. And if you ignore me, you will die. The commander's voice cut through the bridge. Do it. Follow his instructions. The crew hesitated, but obeyed. The alien's commands were sharp and precise. Turn the ship. Lower shields in Section 3, then fire all weapons in sequence. Wait now. The humans followed. To their shock, the maneuver worked. 2 enemy ships were caught off guard, their hulls burning as explosions tore through them. Gasps filled the bridge. The alien stood straighter, his scars glowing faintly in the red light. They will not make that mistake again. But now, they know you are not as weak as they thought. The commander's eyes narrowed. And what do they want with you? Why chase you this far? The alien's face darkened. Because I am proof. Proof that their control can be broken. Proof that one of their weapons can remember, can choose. They fear me because I remember the boy in the orphanage, because I remember you. His voice shook with fury. If I can betray them, so can others. That is why they must erase me. The commander felt a chill run through him. It was not just about survival anymore. It was about something larger. Something dangerous. If the alien spoke the truth, then humanity was about to be caught in a war of rebellion. Another blast rocked the ship. Panels exploded, smoke filling the bridge. The crew fought to keep systems online, but the enemy pressed. Harder. The alien turned to the commander. If we stay, we will die. But I know a way out. A hidden path through this sector, an old supply route of my people. If we take it, we may escape. The commander's eyes locked on him. And if it's a trap, the alien met his gaze with quiet intensity. Then I die with you. But if I wanted to betray you, I would have done it already. The silence stretched, heavy with fear and doubt. Finally, the commander nodded. Do it. Take us there. The ship dove into the darkness, slipping between stars, enemy fire trailing close behind. Every second felt like the last. The aliens. Directions were sharp, guiding them through narrow passages of asteroid fields and dead space. But the enemy did not give up. Their ships followed, relentless, like shadows that refused to die. The alien's voice was steady, but his body shook with weakness. Almost there, just a little farther. The commander's eyes flicked to him, then back to the stars. He could see it now, an opening, a hidden passage through the field. If it worked, they might survive. But if it failed, the aliens. Glowing eyes met his. You have to trust me. The commander gave the order. The ship plunged into the passage. The stars bent. The enemy fleet roared behind them, and then darkness swallowed them whole. Shadows of the past. Ship trembled as it slipped through the hidden passage. Outside the windows, space twisted strangely, bending light in ways the crew had never seen before. Alarms screamed, and the engines groaned as if they might tear apart. Hold it steady. The commander shouted. The crew fought to keep control, their hands racing over the consoles. Sparks flew, smoke filled the air, but somehow the ship held together. Then silence. The shaking stopped. The alarms went quiet. The stars outside looked calm again. The crew stared at the screens in disbelief. The enemy fleet was gone. No sign of pursuit. Only darkness, endless and still. Had they escaped? The alien leaned heavily against the console, his chest rising and falling with each breath. His glowing eyes dimmed with exhaustion. "We are safe. For now," he whispered. The commander's voice was low and sharp. "Where are we?" The alien hesitated before answering. "A forgotten path. My people used it long ago to move supplies. In secret. Few remember it now. Fewer survive it." The commander narrowed his eyes. "And how do you know it so well?" The alien's face tightened. "Because I was there. Because I once flew this path myself, as their weapon." The crew shifted uneasily. Every word from the alien only deepened their distrust. He was both their savior and their curse, a traitor to his kind, but still one of them. The commander studied him in silence. Part of him wanted to believe. Part of him still remembered the orphanage, the boy in the shadows. But another part whispered caution. One wrong choice, one false step, and all of them would die at last. The commander sighed. "You claim to be one of us. Prove it. Tell me the truth. What did they do to you?" The alien's eyes darkened, and for a long moment he said nothing. Then he sank into a chair, his voice trembling. "They took me when I was still a child. The orphanage burned in my memory, but they cut everything else away. They told me I was nothing, that I belonged only to them." His voice grew colder. "They broke my bones and healed them stronger. They cut my flesh and replaced it with scars of steel. They made me fight other children until one of us stopped moving." The crew gasped quietly. The alien's hand trembled as he spoke. "I learned to kill before I learned to sleep. I learned obedience before I learned my own name. And yet, no matter what they did, one memory stayed. A boy in the orphanage. A boy who shared his bread when everyone else turned away. That memory became my shield." He looked at the commander with burning eyes. "That boy was you." The commander's chest tightened, but he did not speak. The truth was too heavy to deny. The alien leaned closer, his voice breaking. "I hated what I became. I hated the blood on my hands, but I held on to that memory. It reminded me that I was not just a weapon, that somewhere, once, I was more." He lowered his head. "I ran. I deserted them. I have been hunted ever since." The room was silent. The crew stared at him with a mix of pity and fear. Some looked away, unable to hear more. Others clenched their fists, anger burning not at him, but at what had been done to him. The commander spoke at last. His voice was steady, but his eyes betrayed the storm inside. "They stole your life. They broke you, but you came back. They—" Alien gave a faint, bitter smile. "No, I never came back. I never truly left. I am both, the child who remembers you, and the weapon they created. I cannot escape what I am." Suddenly, the lights flickered. A strange hum filled the ship. The crew stiffened, checking their consoles. "Commander," one officer called out, fear in his voice. "Something's wrong. The passage, it isn't empty." On the screen, shadows began to form. Shapes twisted in the void outside. Not ships, not asteroids, something older. Something alive. The alien's face turned pale. "No, it cannot be," he whispered. The crew looked at him sharply. "What is it? What are we seeing?" The alien's voice trembled. "The passage is not only a supply route, it was also a graveyard. A place where my people tested their weapons. Some of those weapons never died." The shadows moved closer, shifting like predators in the dark. The commander stepped forward, his voice cold. "You brought us into this. Now you will get us out." The alien's glowing eyes locked on his, filled with both fear and determination. I will try. But understand this. These shadows are not enemies you can kill with fire. They are the past made alive. And the past does not die easily. The crew prepared for battle, their hands trembling. The commander stood tall, his eyes never leaving the screen. The alien whispered, almost to himself, "Broken bonds never stay buried. They return. Always." Outside, the shadows grew larger, their forms twisting into monstrous shapes. The ship's lights flickered again. The commander gripped the rail, his voice a growl. Then we faced them together. And as the shadows closed in, the past long buried rose to claim them all. The graveyard awakens. The silence before the storm was the worst. Every crew member sat frozen, their eyes locked on the screens. Outside, in the black void, the shadows stirred like ancient beasts. They shifted, stretched, and formed into shapes that no human mind wanted to understand. The commander's voice cut through the fear. "Shields up, weapons ready." The ship obeyed, systems coming alive with a low hum. The red lights pulsed, the cannons powered up, and every officer braced for the unknown. The alien stood at the center, his glowing scars flickering faintly. In the dark, his face was pale, his voice low. They were left here long ago. Experiments, weapons that never should have lived. One officer snapped, his fear boiling into anger. "You knew this. You knew what was in this passage." "They." Alien turned, his glowing eyes hard. "No, I did not know they survived." His voice shook. "But I should have. Nothing my people make ever dies." The shadows moved closer. They looked almost like ships, but twisted, broken, their hulls stretched into shapes that bent reality. Some had wings like shattered glass. Others moved like serpents of light and smoke. Then, as one, they opened their eyes. 1,000 glowing orbs lit the void, staring at the human ship. The crew gasped. Some cried out. The commander gritted his teeth. Fire. The ship's cannons roared, beams of burning light striking the nearest shadow. For a moment, it seemed to work. The shape split apart, breaking into fragments, but then the pieces reformed, twisting back together. Stronger. The alien's voice was sharp, almost desperate. "You cannot kill them with fire. They are not flesh. They are memory, living memory." The commander turned to him, fury in his eyes. "Then tell me how to fight them." The alien's gaze darkened. "You do not fight the graveyard. You survive it. You run." But running was not simple. The shadows surged forward, surrounding the ship. Their glowing eyes burned through the darkness, and their voices, if they were voices, began to echo. At first it sounded like static, then whispers, then words. The crew froze, their eyes wide. "Betrayer," the voices hissed. "Traitor, you belong to us." The alien staggered back as the voices grew louder, pounding inside his skull. He gripped his head, his scars glowing fiercely. "No," he growled through clenched teeth. "I broke free. I am not yours anymore." But the whispers only grew stronger. "You cannot run from what you are. You cannot kill what you were made to be." The crew watched in fear. To them, it looked as if the shadows were speaking directly. To him. The commander grabbed his arm. "What are they saying?" The alien's eyes burned with both rage and fear. "They remember me. They are calling me back." The ship shook violently as one of the shadows slammed against it. Sparks burst. Across the bridge, crew members fell, shouting, struggling to hold the ship together. "We can't take many more hits." An officer cried. The commander barked. "Evasive maneuvers. Keep us moving." The ship twisted through the graveyard, dodging the monstrous forms. But the shadows followed, gliding like hunters through the dark. The alien forced himself to stand, his voice steady though his body trembled. "There is a way. A core, hidden at the center of the passage. That is where their memory is strongest. If we reach it, maybe I can end them. The commander's eyes narrowed. End them how? The alien hesitated, then whispered, by letting them take me. The words froze the crew. The commander grabbed him by the collar, pulling him close. No, you're not throwing yourself away. The alien's voice was calm, cold. It is not your choice. If I die with them, you live. If I resist, they will consume us all. The commander stared at him, fury in his chest. But deep inside, he knew the alien was right. The shadows closed in tighter. Their whispers filled the ship, echoing in every corridor. Crew members began to break, clutching their ears, screaming at voices only they could hear. The alien pushed forward, his scars glowing brighter, his steps heavy but sure. He looked more weapon than man now. Take me to the core, he said. The commander stood frozen, torn between command and memory. He saw the alien's face scarred, glowing, broken. But beneath it, he saw the boy from the orphanage. The boy who once shared a piece of bread when the world had none. The boy he had thought lost forever. Commander, an officer shouted. They're closing in. We don't have time. The commander's jaw tightened. He turned to the alien. If you're going into the core, then I'm going with you. The alien's eyes widened. No, you cannot survive it. Then neither can you. The commander's voice was steel. We face this together. For a moment, the alien stared at him, caught between anger and something like hope. Then, slowly, he nodded. The ship pushed deeper into the passage. The shadows followed, their whispers growing louder, their forms pressing against the hull like claws. At last, a strange light appeared ahead. A sphere, pulsing faintly like the heart of a dead god. It glowed with fragments of memory, faces, battles, screams frozen in time. The alien's face went pale. The core. The commander gripped the rail, his voice firm. Take us in. The crew obeyed, though fear consumed them. The ship flew straight toward the sphere, into the center of the graveyard. The shadows roared, their voices merging into a single scream. The ship shook violently, as if the void itself was trying to tear it apart. The alien stepped forward, his scars blazing with light. He whispered almost to himself, if I fall here, at least it is my choice. The commander's voice cut through the chaos. No, not your choice alone, ours. And together, they plunged into the core. The core of memory. The ship crossed the threshold. For a moment, everything went silent. No alarms, no whispers, no movement. Just silence. Then the light swallowed them. The core was not like space. It was not dark or endless. It was alive. Walls of glowing mist stretched around them, filled with fragments of memory. Faces flickered in the air. Alien soldiers, screaming. Prisoners burning cities. The crew looked out the windows and saw history itself, playing over and over, by the stars. One officer whispered, what is this place? The alien's voice was low, heavy with pain. It is where my people stored their dead. Not their bodies, but their echoes. The essence of every battle, every kill, every command. The commander's eyes narrowed. A memory graveyard. The alien nodded slowly. Yes, and I am part of it. As the ship moved deeper, the whispers returned. This time they were clearer, louder. Traitor. Weapon. Come back to us. The alien staggered, clutching his head. His scars blazed with light, brighter than ever before. Stay with me, the commander said firmly, gripping his arm. Don't let them in? But the alien's voice cracked. It is too late. They are inside already. The crew looked at him in fear. Some reached for their weapons, unsure if he was still friend or foe. The commander snapped at them. Stand. Down, He's fighting it. The alien's glowing eyes locked onto the commander. For a moment, his voice was his own. If I give in, end me. Do not hesitate. The commander shook his head. No, I won't lose you again. The ship drifted closer to the pulsing heart of the core. The sphere loomed ahead, its surface rippling like liquid, glowing with stolen lives. The alien pressed his hand against the glass. His voice was almost a whisper. It calls to me. The voices want me to join them. The commander stepped beside him. And what happens if you do? The alien's jaw tightened. Then I vanish. My mind becomes theirs. My body becomes theirs. And you survive. The commander's eyes blazed with anger. No, that's not survival. That's surrender. We came here together, and we will leave together. For a brief moment, silence hung between them. The alien looked at him, really looked at him, as if seeing the boy from the orphanage through all the years of war and pain. You should not care for me. The alien whispered. I am no longer him. The commander's voice was steady. You are still him, or I wouldn't be here. Suddenly, the ship shook violently. The shadows were inside. Not outside the hull, inside the ship. Dark forms moved through the corridors, whispering, slithering, twisting into monstrous shapes. Crew members screamed as the shadows clawed at them, not with hands, but with memories. Some fell to their knees, trapped in visions of their worst fears. Commander, they're breaching every deck. An officer shouted. The commander drew his weapon, but he knew bullets meant nothing here. The alien stepped forward, his body glowing, his scars burning like fire. This is what they want. They want me. If I go to the core, they will follow. It will end here. The commander grabbed his shoulder. If you go, I go with you. The alien's voice was sharp. No, you cannot survive the merge. You are. Human, you will be torn apart. The commander's eyes hardened. Then we find another way. But the shadows would not wait. They swarmed the bridge, their forms wrapping around the crew. A young officer cried out, sinking to the floor, his eyes wide with terror. The alien knelt beside him, placing a hand on his head. For a moment, the boy's screams stopped. The alien whispered, I can hold them back, but not for long. The commander's voice cut through the chaos. Then buy us time. Enough for me to think. But even as he said it, he knew there was no time. The sphere pulsed faster, brighter, calling to the alien with every beat. The alien stood, his body glowing. Brighter and brighter, until the whole bridge was bathed in light. He turned to the commander, his voice calm now. This is my choice. Let me give you what they never gave me, freedom. The commander's chest tightened. He wanted to argue, to fight, to refuse. But the words caught in his throat. The alien gave him one last look. A look filled with something that might have been peace. Then he walked toward the light. The crew cried out, some reaching for him, but the commander did not move. He stood frozen, watching as the alien approached the sphere. The shadows screamed, surging after him, their voices rising in fury. The alien spread his arms wide, his scars blazing like a sun. For a moment, he was both man and weapon, both child and monster. Then he stepped into the light. The sphere exploded in brilliance. The ship rocked violently as shock waves tore through it. The crew shielded their eyes. The commander stood firm, his heart pounding, his voice breaking as he whispered, Don't leave me again. When the light faded, silence returned. The shadows were gone. The whispers had stopped. The alien was nowhere to be seen. The crew looked around in shock. Some sighed in relief, others wept. But the commander stood frozen, staring at the empty space where the alien had stood. For a long time, no one spoke. Then, slowly, the screens lit up. And a voice filled the ship. I am not gone. The crew froze. The voice was not human, not alien, not shadow. It was something else. Something new. The commander's eyes widened as he whispered, "What have you become?" The last choice. The bridge was silent. Every crew member stared at the glowing screens, their faces pale, their breaths shallow. The voice that filled the ship was not human. It was not alien. It was something new, calm, steady, powerful. "I am not gone," the voice said again. The commander's heart pounded. His hands gripped the rail as if it was the only thing keeping him upright. "Where are you?" he whispered. The lights flickered, and the ship itself seemed to breathe. The voice echoed from everywhere. "I am here, in the ship, in the core." In all of it, the crew looked around in fear. Some whispered prayers, others backed away from the glowing screens. The commander clenched his jaw. "It's you, isn't it? You're still alive." "Yes," the voice answered, "but not as I was." For a moment, hope flickered in the commander's chest. His oldest friend, the boy from the orphanage, the alien scarred by war, was not gone. But then the truth hit him. The alien was no longer flesh, no longer free. He was something more and something less. The commander's voice cracked. "What did you do?" "I merged," the voice said calmly. "The shadows are gone. Their memory is mine now. Their power is mine. They cannot hurt you anymore." The crew gasped. Relief spread across some faces, but others looked more afraid than before. One officer whispered, "He's not one of us anymore. He's a machine." The commander snapped, his voice like fire. "He's not a machine. He saved us." But deep inside, even he could not deny the truth. His friend was no longer the same. The ship drifted quietly in the aftermath. The graveyard of shadows was silent, its whispers gone. But the crew knew the danger was not over. The commander turned toward the glowing console. "What happens now?" The voice hesitated before answering. "Now, I must choose." The commander's brow furrowed. "Choose what?" "Whether to remain here, holding the shadows forever," the voice said slowly, "or to leave with you. If I go with you, the shadows may rise again one day. If I stay, I will never be free, but you will." The words hung heavy in the air. The commander's chest tightened. It was the cruelest choice of all, freedom for one, or survival for many. Crew began to argue. "We can't risk it," one officer shouted. "If the shadows return, billions will die." Another slammed his fist on the console. "But he's one of us. We can't just leave him here." Fear and anger filled the bridge. The voices clashed, louder and louder, until the commander finally roared, "Enough!" Silence fell instantly. The commander's voice shook as he spoke. "This is not our choice. It's his." For a moment, nothing happened. Then the lights dimmed, and the voice spoke again, softer this time. "All my life, I was used. A weapon. A monster. Even when I broke free, the shadows hunted me. I thought I would die alone, hated and forgotten." The commander's throat tightened. "You weren't forgotten. Never by me." The voice paused, then continued. "You gave me something no one else did. A reason to fight. A reason to live. And now, a reason to let go." The commander's eyes burned. "Don't say that. Don't you dare." The voice grew warm, almost human again. "If I stay, you will live. If I leave, I may doom you. And I will not risk your life, that after all you gave me." The commander shook his head violently. "No, don't do this. We'll find another way. Together." But the voice only whispered, "Goodbye, my friend." The ship trembled as the lights began to fade. The core pulsed one last time, and the sphere around them started to collapse. The shadows screamed faintly, then dissolved into nothing. The crew held on, shielding their eyes as the light grew brighter and brighter. Then dash silence. When the light cleared, the core was gone. The graveyard was empty. The shadows were erased. Alien was gone. The ship floated quietly in open space. No enemies, no whispers, only stars. The crew sat in silence, some crying softly, others staring blankly at the void. The commander stood at the front, his fists clenched, his eyes fixed on the stars. For a long time, he said nothing. Then, at last, he whispered, "You were not a weapon. You were my brother." His voice shook, but his eyes were steady. "And I will remember you." Days later, when the ship finally reached safe space, the crew began to speak of what happened. Some called it a miracle. Others called it a curse. But one truth remained. They had survived because of him, and though the alien was gone, his memory lived on in the ship, in the crew, and most of all, in the heart of the commander. But deep, in the far reaches of forgotten space, a faint light flickered. A voice whispered softly, almost too quiet to hear, "I am not gone. Not yet."